In coordination with a rally in Philadelphia this week, 17 major labor unions all endorsed Joe Biden's 2024 re-election campaign. The AFL-CIO, one of the event's main organizers, issued its earliest endorsement ever in a campaign cycle. They, of course, did endorse Joe Biden's first campaign, but they made that endorsement official in May of 2020, just 6 months before Election Day. This endorsement comes nearly a full year earlier in the campaign cycle. So despite not passing the infrastructure bill that would have actually, strengthened labor's hands, and despite his trademark, his signature interaction with organized labor being the intervening to stop a railroad strike 2 months before the East Palestine train derailment, which happened as a result of railroad workers' warnings going ignored for many, many years. These unions are coming out in force for Joe Biden for 2024. This speaks to a lot of the concerns that Workers Strike Back has articulated. Shama Sawant talking about the sort of professional union business class not representing the will of their members or even the interests of their members, right? Let's stop letting the rank and file off easy here, right? I mean, unions are not what they were on the ground at the rank and file. And a lot of that has to do with the influence of the management, right? A fish rots from the head down, right? Once a culture becomes corrupted, everything underneath it becomes corrupted as well. It goes all the way down. And a lot of these unions are simple arms of the DNC now. That's what Russell was saying off the air. I think that's absolutely true. But let's take a look at some of these union endorsement announcements here. So we'll just go through Twitter. I have these bookmarked. Here's the SEIU. 4 more years? Yes, President Biden has created 13 million American jobs in 2+ years, investing trillions in our infrastructure, protected our pensions, and strengthened workers' rights. Unions for all.
Hang on. You mean there were job gains coming out of an apocalyptic pandemic? Right. Holy shit, this guy's good.
Well, that's what I mean. A lot of these talking points are not even necessarily pro-labor talking points, as we'll get to soon. This one hurt a lot because the National Nurses Union tends to be a more progressive union. Nurses are proud to endorse Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for a second term. Their track record of support for union workers and efforts to protect nurses have shown that they have our backs. We are happy to have their backs in the 2024 presidential race, too. This one really stung. They cited here the Biden administration's support for union workers. Nurses note that on day one of his presidency, Biden ousted right-wing corporate-backed NLRB NLRB General Counsel Peter Robb, and has since appointed new NLRB officials who support the right of workers to organize unions. This is really the only thing that they have, that he got rid of the sort of pro-management NLRB general counsel and replaced him. Of course, any Democrat probably would have done that. Certainly, if Biden did it, you can certainly bet that any Democrat would have done that. Why that's a unique win for him is pretty evident based on the fact that there aren't many other unique wins for him. The Biden administration has also supported passage of the PRO Act. Notice they have not passed the PRO Act. They've supported passage of the PRO Act.
Well, the Democrats are always for good things and against bad things.
Right.
As long as they don't have to actually pass them.
Right. Exactly. Go ahead.
This, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because everyone that I speak to in the medical industry, including Tusker, says the whole system is falling apart. They've got a mass shortage of nurses, of staff, of support. So why are they so excited about what they've done? What have they done to support and recruit nurses? Didn't COVID expose how flimsy this entire system is?
The other point here that we should make is that there is, according to Kyle Kulinski and Crystal Ball and some of the writers at Jacobin, there is a Democratic primary going on, right? So don't you think some of these unions could have maybe taken a look at RFK or Marianne Williamson. Oh, no, because here in reality, what did we tell you from day one? The organizations that pull weight within the Democratic Party are going to act as though there is no primary. That's why they're making these endorsements this early. They're going to be ignored. They are not going to make a splash. This is exactly what we told you would happen, right?
Well, and what's funny has been watching how they've reacted to Cornel West jumping in, because that was one of those things where they were all like, let me at him, and everyone let go. They said, we should stay with Marianne. Okay, well, if he were running Green Party, if he were, well, okay, well, if in the general, sure.
In the general, sure, but we're going to stick with Marianne for now. Why?
Right.
She can't even get a hearing. The unions are not paying her any mind at all. You can't win. This is the problem with Democratic Party politics. Not only is the DNC a giant blob of its own, right, institutionally speaking, you have countless other institutions that pull tremendous weight within the Democratic Party. The American Federation of Teachers, huge. Planned Parenthood, not a union, but a not-for-profit, huge. In 2016, they didn't even call a member vote. They endorsed Hillary without even letting the members vote, right? You can't go up against these institutions within the Democratic Party. That's part of why Shama formed Workers Strike Back, to have a movement of workers that is not dependent on the goodwill or good judgment of union leaders like Randy Weingarten, who is the grand finale of this little segment we're doing, because we're going to watch her pitch for Biden-Harris in just a moment. But before we get to that, we have a couple more of these that we have to get through. So let's go back to the screen here. The AFSCME, it's undeniable. Joe Biden is the most pro-union president of any of our lifetimes. He's a union man, and he's not afraid to admit it. Now, listen, if that's true, then that is really an indictment of the... I mean, talk about a leper with the most fingers contest, right? I mean, he may be the most pro-labor president of my lifetime, because when you think, okay, who's been in my lifetime? What, Reagan, Bush, Clinton... Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Obama.
I mean,
Bush,
Carter.
Yeah.
Carter was the one who started to create the New Democrats. Right. But it's one of those things where you look at Richard Nixon, the arch conservative of his day, and he was to the left of most Democrats today. So saying Jimmy Carter shifted to the right in the context that he shifted to the right, of pre-Reagan context, is way to the left of Bernie Sanders. So, right. Jimmy Carter was still that New Deal Democratic Party where you served the unions. You relied very heavily on the unions for donations, for door knocking. The Democratic Party was completely wed to the unions. Once Reagan fired the air traffic controllers and, once Bill Clinton got in, then you no longer have a pro-union president. So basically up until 1980, any Democrat was pro-labor. You couldn't be a Democrat and not be pro-labor. It was the entire basis of the party. Right. They hadn't sold out to Wall Street yet, so they weren't getting that Wall Street money. They were completely dependent on labor to knock on doors and register voters.
Here is the finale of this segment here. Randy Weingarten, again, the Ukraine emoji people always look and sound the worst. Like, always. I mean, I would like to see a scientific study of bad takes online and correlate that to who has a Ukraine flag in their profile. Randy Weingarten, the Biden-Harris administration is proudly pro-worker, pro-public education, and pro-democracy. Here's Randy Weingarten playing politician here, trying to gin up support for Biden-Harris. This is quite pathetic. She should stay out of politics, I think. But here she is doing her best.
President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris really care about people. They get the importance of workers having a voice and students having real opportunity. They are unabashedly pro-labor and pro-public education. I'm Randy Weingarten, and the 1.7 million members of the AFT, representing public school teachers and school staff, higher education.
Like, who thought this was a good
staff,
idea? That's what I
nurses
never
and
understand
healthcare
about things like
professionals
this.
and public employees
She's fucking
across
awful.
the country. All of us are proud.
She looks
to
like she's doing
support
like
President
fake
Joe
sign
Biden
language.
and Vice President
You know,
Kamala Harris.
like she's trying to
Democratic
sign, but she doesn't know how to sign with the ooh.
She just got she got the gig to sign at the Tonys, but they didn't look into whether she actually knew how.
Right, just like, oh shit, I don't know how to do this. Yeah, exactly.
In 2024.
I'm Connie, and I'm an OR tech.
I'm Crystal, a paraprofessional from Chicago Public Schools.
I'm Scott. I'm a community college librarian in Lancaster, California.
I'm Michelle. I work at the Montana Department of Transportation.
I'm Erica Bray, Administrative Assistant for Detroit Public Schools.
My name is Carmen, and I am a proud New York City middle school social studies teacher, and I support Joe Biden.
And this is why it's so hard for me to find a date.
Joe Biden got the first major infrastructure
town
bill
is
passed
full of
in
those
decades.
fucking people.
It's going to build roads, bridges, water and energy infrastructure, broadband, and more.
I'm voting for Joe Biden because he's the most labor-friendly president that I can remember.
Because I had a terrible
Joe Biden has
accident
signed
and a severe head injury.
Supporting women's reproductive health.
I don't remember
particularly
anything
after
beyond last week.
The Dobbs decision.
I see how President Biden's Medicaid expansion has worked wonders for the patients I help here. in my
Reproductive health,
I'm voting for
pro-democracy,
Joe Biden
Medicaid
because of the
expansion,
public service loan forgiveness,
service loan
African
forgiveness,
American community support, and I want
not a lot
him to
of
finish the job that
I'm
labor-based
voting
issues.
for Biden because he fights for what our
they're citing
schools
here.
and communities need.
Let's help Joe and Kamala finish the job of standing up for what families need.
I like the bottom
Making
up,
government
middle
work
out.
for all Americans and building our economy from the bottom up and the middle out so everyone can
And
get
somebody directed that.
Yeah. All right.
You know,
now,
we're
next time-
theater guys,
next
so
time
we
need
see
more.
something.
We need more.
Yeah.
Out.
Could you do that, like Charlton Heston parting the sea,
Exactly.
that kind of thing? No, we're both theater guys, so we watch something like that, and that's a director. Like a director told her to do that. And you just say, God. I mean, I don't blame the director, because look what he had to work with. That had to have been the most torturous gig you could imagine, to try to direct this fucking reptile to do these gestures and try to make it organic.
Yeah, but I mean, just really awful. I mean, just really pathetic that they would fall in line this early. And look, forgetting about, I don't give a shit about they picking Marianne Williamson. I mean, they're not going to do that. You'd at least think maybe wait and bargain a bit. Maybe actually like do the bidding of your workers, of your members, to try and get some.
If they did the bidding
promises
of the workers,
out of Joe Biden,
they'd support Trump.
What's
I mean,
yeah, a lot of them.
I mean,
In
when
a
you're
lot of
talking
cases.
about, when you're talking about the industrial unions, definitely.
Oh, sure. The UPS people, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I worked at a union warehouse for UPS during the heat of the pandemic, during that holiday season. And the only reason I left is because they started playing games with me about whether or not they were actually going to let me into the union. They're like, they told me like 36 days into my job that the books closed on the union in October. So now we're going to have to wait and see after the holidays, if you get in, which is code for we're going to work you to death for a month in, these brutal conditions, and then probably tell you thanks, but no thanks, get lost. So I just left and I drove. I made more money driving anyway. I just wanted to do it because the UPS union is actually a very good union. I mean, great health benefits, good advancement opportunities. Like, they actually do pay workers quite well. UPS is a job that a lot of drivers want. Now, actually, UPS workers are talking about going on strike to get more. And they're a very, very powerful union. So obviously, best of luck there. But as I understood, when I was working for them, the rank and file didn't really have issues with pay or incentives or anything like that. This was 3 years ago. So things are probably different now, obviously, since they're talking about going on strike. But that's why I left. But yeah, no, man, the rank and file in that warehouse, yeah, it was Trumpville, and it was very, very diverse. It was a very, very diverse warehouse. The town I grew up in was majority minority, third black, third brown, third white, and that was the representation in the warehouse. And from what I can gather, I mean, they didn't talk politics much, but when they did, they didn't sound like Randy Weingarten. I can tell you that. Not much of this and this going on.
Please clap.